I'll first just do this and stop sharing so that you can see our faces.
Good evening, everyone.
So we welcome you to the monthly Red Meat Industry Services webinar. The webinar is meant to provide information to farmers across the country so that they can use that information to improve their livestock enterprises by implementing some of the information that they got from us as the red meat industry, but also from the expertise, people with expertise that we invite to come and share information with us. Today, we are doing things a little bit different from the past. We have a guest with us. His name is Ashell Maenetja. We're actually not going to share presentation as such. Ashell was attending summer school in Brazil. So we actually going to have sort of like a podcast just to get to understand what he actually learned from Brazil. What are the possibilities? Where can we improve as farmers from South Africa in terms of what is being done in Brazil, but also as an industry? So Ashell is going to share with us a little bit of information that he has with the limited time that we have. We're going to ask him questions like we do with other guests. So I encourage you, audience, farmers and industry participants who are in attendance here, including the students, if you have questions towards the end of the session, I am going to allow you to interact with Ashell, ask him questions, and if you want to give oral comments, you are more than welcome to do so. And so then if you don't feel comfortable in terms of asking questions or making comments orally, you are way more than welcome to write your question in the chat so that we can read through your questions and Ashell will provide answers to your questions. I see, Beatrice, your hand is up. I just want to see, I see people say yes, they can hear us. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that you guys can be able to hear us. So, but before we officially start with our session, I'm just going to give a brief introduction in terms of red meat industry services, in case there are some new audience who are only attending our webinars today for the first time. You never heard about the red meat industry services. You're hearing about us for the first time, so that you can get to understand what is the red meat industry. But I'm going to do it in less than 2 minutes, just so that you guys can be able to understand. So the red meat industry services, we are actually the agents of the livestock farmers. Livestock farmers, I'm referring to the ruminants, that is the farmers who are farming with cattle and those ones who are farming with sheep as well as goats. So we provide service to those farmers to ensure that they run their livestock enterprises profitably and also sustainably. So we do have 4 key focus areas, or the 4 pillars in which we service the industry. That includes animal and public health, whereby we're working with other stakeholders in terms of disease notification across the country to ensure that our industry is sustainable and also profitable in terms of those who are farming with livestock. And then we have got inclusive growth, which deals more with the trainings and skills transfer to the farmers who don't have the information, and includes some other projects that are meant to assist farmers with some resources that can help them to further. We have market access, which speak to access to market to farmers who are farming with ruminants so that they can be able to assist the farmers to export their red meat products. And lastly, we have competitiveness and sustainability, so which speaks to competitiveness in a sense that our industry is competitive and sustainable in a sense that the farmers that are farming with this livestock, they are able to sell and be able to be sustainable in their own enterprises. We also do funding for some researchers that are meant to research parameters that they can help farmers to improve in terms of their livestock enterprises, and they can then also be sustainable. And also that includes, amongst other things, carcass grading system improvement thereof. So in a nutshell, that is the red meat industry services. I'm not going to go any further. We just want to give you a little bit of information so that you know what does the red meat industry do, what is actually the red meat industry services, if you didn't know before. So now, the man of the moment. I'm here with Mr. Ashell Maenetja. Mr. Ashell Maenetja is going to speak about his trip to Brazil and how Brazil they are doing or they go about in terms of their industries, and then how they do go about in terms of their livestock enterprises. Is there any improvement? Is there anything at all as the industry, as farmers, as South Africans that we can learn from other countries like Brazil? Remember, we always encourage the export of red meat product to other countries. And then if there's anything that we can learn from other countries, we should be keen as farmers to implement so that we can do better. We always strive to do better. That is why, as the Red Meat Industry Services, our logo says, we empower farmers to thrive. So that is that. So man of the moment, Mr. Ashell Maenetja. If you didn't know, Mr. Ashell Maenetja is from Limpopo. He's also a small-scale farmer. Before he became the RMIS member or RMIS team member, I'd say. So he's very experienced, first-hand experience. It's not only about the theory. He understands what he speaks about because he has done it practical. So, and he still continue doing that practical on a day-to-day basis. So some of the lessons that you'll be learning is not just the content. It is something that you get from someone who is very much experienced. To introduce himself and tell us who actually is Ashell Maenetja. Who actually is this Ashell Maenetja? I'm sure a lot of you you are interested in knowing him as much as I am. So I'm just saying. So, Ashell, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very great, man. Who is Ashell Maenetja? If someone is asking, just in a nutshell, can you, in less than 30 seconds, explain to us who actually is Ashell Maenetja?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You're all welcome. Hopefully, you and I have a great engagement. Ashell Maenetja. I'm a village boy who grew up as a herdsman, very passionate about livestock farming. On weekends, graduate from Stellenbosch University. I have an honors degree in animal science. I also have other certificates in animal production that I got through online. I'm a communal livestock farmer, and I'm also a founder of an agri consulting company called KW Farm Services, which is focused on pretty much inclusive growth, transformation. How do we empower our communities? How do we share our knowledge and also get to learn from experienced people like Ernest Mapua? How do we actually improve our livelihood? How do we improve our communal setups? How do we run our livelihood as a business? So getting an opportunity to join RMIS has been a blessing. I get to learn a lot. I get to engage with industry experts, gain insights, gain knowledge, and go on to share with people that are on the ground, people that have limited access to extension and advisory services. So in a nutshell, I'm a passionate animal scientist or livestock technical advisor with RMIS who is always eager to learn more than anything else to share, because I believe that's how we actually farm better, by working together, sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's great. I'm sure now you guys now you can't wait to hear what did Ashell Maenetja learn from Brazil. For those who don't know, Ashell Maenetja went to represent the red meat industry services and that is Yard, if I'm not mistaken, Asia.
Yeah.
Yard. So he went to represent us as a country, went to represent us as the industry. Ashell is a livestock technical advisor for the red meat industry services. So Ashell, can you just briefly tell us a little bit about University of Sao Paulo? That is the university that you went to visit when you went to Brazil. Tell us a little bit about the university.
I mean, it's an amazing university, amazing setup. Their lessons and lectures, they are not just focused on theory, but more than anything, it's practicals. I got to meet like 30 students. They were talking about pesticides. They're studying agronomy, and they actually knew how to implement them. And I was blown away. Why? I had to finish varsity so that I can go to the farms and get to learn about different vaccines, different medication. They already know about those things. They already know how to apply them. Everything that they learn in their lecture halls end up in the field, practical, hands-on experience. So it was a great experience that I got through NYDA, which is a National Youth Development Agency. I got to apply like everybody else, and because of my desire to learn, to grow, to develop as a young animal scientist. Luckily enough, I got accepted, and I got to represent not just RMIS or myself, but South Africa as well, just to get an in-depth of how Brazil operates, how Brazil do their daily businesses on agriculture, how's their ecosystem, what is it that we can learn from them and implement here in South Africa. So they're actually doing a
Sorry, we just had some, I think, connection problems. I hope you guys can still hear us. Can you still hear us? Just say yes in the inbox if you can still hear us. Can you still hear us? Yes, thank you. Thank you. You can still hear us. I see someone is asking if we can push the sheet on the last screen. See if we can. Let's see. Okay, but then let's continue where we left it off. So, Ashell, indeed, you just mentioned something that the Brazilians are always striving to improve, which is something that as South Africans we should always for so that we can do better as well. But then under the theme for the summer school that you attended, there's a theme that was titled Tropical Bio-Based Production System. What is this theme all about?
So basically, this theme is it's based on integration. So how can we increase our productivity? How can we take into consideration the economics? How can we consider the environment as well, the social aspects? So what they're doing is they're trying to integrate everything so that nobody's left behind. Everybody gets to contribute. Whether you are a small-scale farmer, you are an emerging farmer, everybody has a place. Even their research, it's not just based on the mega farmers. It's a research that even a small-scale farmer can be able to implement. Whether it's seeds, GMOs, they design stuff that everybody else can use. Now we have a limited access as small-scale farmers where we can actually access specific things. Why? They are a bit expensive. They are out of our range as well. So we end up losing in our production. Our production is never that good because we feel like, okay, maybe we need more fertilizers. Brazil is trying to implement products that everybody can access, either through support programs or through individuals. So they're actually doing amazing work because now they're integrating all their production into a same setup. So environment doesn't have to be sacrificed for our own livestock, or people don't have to go hungry because we can increase our productivity. So that was like amazing to see, actually, to get to learn and experience as well.
Interesting indeed. But I'm just thinking as you speak now, like in South Africa, we've got small scale farmers or medium farmers who are struggling amongst others in terms of information. Some of them you find that they are farming with the wrong structure of cattle, or you would say some of them they're using the wrong breed in terms of based on the location that they are found at. Some of them don't have information in terms of supplementary feeding for winter and summer. You will find some of them struggling in terms of market access, interpretation of market indicators for the red meat. One will wonder, through your visit in Brazil, what are some of the challenges that are faced by the emerging farmers of Brazil?
There is a couple of them, like logistics. Most of them, they can get their produce to the formal markets, or let alone have an access to the formal markets. Some of them, they struggle with pest management because they also have a lot of small family farms. And also, some of them, they struggle with connectivity. If we were to implement machinery on our farms, we need technology. So we need how do we go about that? So that's some of the challenges that most small farmers struggle with. They also struggle with the issue of how post-harvest losses. They would produce good quality stuff, but where do they sell to? So that's where Brazil, I feel like they're doing well because they have programs that are aligned with those kind of farmers. Yes, there's going to be exclusion. We have those kind of programs, but our programs are more focused on inputs. We provide more inputs with the hope that there's going to be an outcome. We go educating farmers about market access with the hope that they will get to sell to those formal markets or informal markets and still keep record. But with them, it's different.
Yeah.
So they provide this sort of like a procurement route. So I know if I'm a farmer, I'm going to get this from RMIS. I'm expected to do this certain things, which are actually in line with developing you as a farmer, moving you from our own traditional ways of farming. That was amazing because we do have a lot of programs that there's a lot of money that is pushed towards farmers, provided farmers could be like seeds, could be like livestock, it could be vaccines, but most of them, they lack the knowledge. They lack the information more than anything else. They lack, I feel like it's like an outcome. So if you, as RMIS, you provide me with this, you have an expectations. I should also have that outcome as well. I should expect something from me. If you're gonna help me until this far, what am I supposed to do as well? So I feel like that's where we are also lacking as well.
Very interesting. I see, Kama, you raised your hand. I don't know if is there any concern or something, but we'll just check. If you have got any concern, please drop your question or whatever that you want to say inbox so that we don't interrupt the interview or the podcast. But then, Ashell, you just mentioned very interesting stuff in terms of challenges that farmers are facing in Brazil. Amongst other things, you say is market. Like here in South Africa, most farmers, if you were to ask them and say, what is your most critical struggle in your farm or as a farmer, most of them, they'll say market access. Some of them, they might cite issues like financial support, the resources, limitation of resources thereof, and so forth. Based on your interaction with farmers in Brazil and the information that you got, how are the farmers in Brazil doing in terms of being able to get financial support from the Brazilian government to the farmers that we have here in South Africa? Because most of them, they always say our main struggle actually is the finance. If we get the financial support, we can be able to run on our own and thrive. How is that side of Brazil? When you speak to them, in terms of financial support from Brazil, are they struggling or they get at least better support compared to us here, compared to the farmers who we have in South Africa, whom they believe that they don't have financial support?
Some obviously do struggle, some still get support, but however, how they do it is different from us. We have a budget for, let's say, for one specific project. The idea is that we're going to teach farmers about livestock handling. That's that. We're going to provide the inputs. Whereas with them, it's the other way around. They have a program that they call CAPS. Basically, it's a family farmer registry. So you need to meet specific. Once you're part of that project, then you can be able, sort of like eligible to qualify for specific things. Could be like credit, could be like market access, procurement. Whereas with us, it's the other way around. So if you are part of that project, part of it is that they provide at least 30% procurement, like sort of like a federal law where public schools or the government will procure 30% of the produce from those small scale farmers that they are supporting. So it's not just input focused, there's also procurement as well. It's like you complete the whole value chain, not just providing with inputs and then next year we have the same projects, we give you inputs again.
Very important.
Which is, I feel like with the kind of program that we have in South Africa, we could actually do amazing stuff. Yes, there's going to be other farmers that are excluded from those programs. But however, we can still have other programs that will channel the farmers towards meeting those requirements so that they can be part of such registry, be eligible for credit, be eligible for market access, extension and advisory services.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
It will be a game changer for us.
Very important point that you mentioned there. But just a follow-up in terms of what you just said in terms of market, but also importantly about the financing. Like I said before, I asked the question that most of the farmers, they will cite financing as one of the problems. And then there's so many programs in South Africa that they try to assist particularly the emerging farmers. And some of the struggle that we have actually been able to identify is that some of them, they do get funding, but there's no track record, particularly for emerging farmers who are farming in emerging setups, in terms of how far they go. One would wonder, how does the Brazilian farmers or Brazilian stakeholders who are assisting the farmers on the ground being able to track or to put some sort of measure to say, if you assisted you with this and this and that, and then here are the outcomes or here are the measurables in terms of what you have done, and then you moved from point A to point B.
Sure.
So how does the Brazilians do it in terms of measuring the outcomes?
So how they go about is that they will register every farmer from the dependency, like your income, how much are you generating per year, your scale of production, where are you based, and those things. So now that's like a point A. That's where we start. Are you eligible for a program based on what we have recorded? Yes or no? If you do qualify, then that's where the credit loans and the support comes from. Because now you qualify. Now they know that they can move you from point A to point B. But point B is probably you securing the markets. It's not like you producing everything else and then now you end up posting social media. Guys, I have this and that. I'm looking to sell on social. I'm looking to sell. But it's always said every time you see that, people have said, I have winners. I want to sell my winners, but they don't know where to sell those winners. So with them, they make sure that once they start with you from provision of inputs, technical advice and advisory services, they make sure that they take you all the way to harvest. When you harvest, then there's a market. Yes, they might not be able to buy all of your produce because there are still many farmers. But think about us as trade meat industry or as communal farmers or emerging farmers. We have two options. We have the formal markets. We have the informal markets. But do we keep records? Can we keep track of how many animals we sold to the feedlots or to the formal markets? Do we even understand the structure, the requirement, the specs? We don't. Every time we get to meet our farmers during our training, all they say, I took my animals to the auction once and I wasn't happy with the prices. What is it that you were not happy about? They never got to ask. They just felt like, okay, maybe the market's a bit unfair. I don't understand. Maybe they took advantage of me, so I'm going to go back to selling to the formal market. However, every day we are out there teaching farmers on how to go about those things. So they keep records of that. Whereas with us, we assist farmers with everything from inputs and then what's the outcome?
Definitely, the outcomes.
So outcome is always like tricky because now you can measure it, you can monitor, we can reevaluate. So we are hoping that since we assisted Makua with vaccines, with infrastructure, we hope that he will sell. and keep records. How about we make that as a
True.
make it a requirement?
True.
You don't. It's not like we're gonna tell farmers to sell their produce or to sell their animals to specific markets, but there must be a track record that says yes, we helped you. You got somewhere. But now we get farmers that we are always helping, but
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
it's almost like duplication of programs. And once again, I'm not bashing everyone. I feel like we could improve because we have so many programs. Every time we meet farmers, some of them we are meeting them for the third or fourth time. They're different. They've gained something. They are more knowledgeable than when we met them.
True. True. So that is very important point to mention, actually, because we don't want to find ourselves, we can always learn from one another in terms of how other people are doing things. And if it's working, we must be more than willing to implement those specific measures in our own soil so that we can also improve. So we should be open-minded in terms of improving. So one should always consider what is working on the other side so that we can also do it on our side. So I'm sure most of you will agree with me that most of you want progress. And then with progress, we need information as well, because once you don't have the information, you end up implementing everything and expecting everything to give you progress, which is most of the time not the case. But Ashell, now, based on what you just said now from Brazil, in your interaction during the summer school, one will wonder what are the scalable practices or sustainable practices. Like I said in the beginning or in the introduction, that sustainability is very key for the red meat industry services. Yeah. So you need to sort of like have sustainability in your livestock enterprises in such a way that you can run it on a long run, or you can be able to make profit, but then you can sustain it and be there for almost forever. So based on what you have learned now, what are some of the scalable, sustainable practices that are being implemented particularly by the emerging farmers or small scale farmers that can also be implemented in South Africa?
So you can measure what you do on records, first and foremost. So what they're doing is they're measuring everybody. They're literally recording everything that you do on your farm. So if we have so many programs that we thought by now a lot of commercial farmers through transformations, but most of them, they keep tracking back to the same ways of farming, right? There's no measurable scale. Yeah, you can't measure them. They can say now they understand how to vaccinate their animals, right? Almost everything is more focused on input provision. So what they're doing is now literally working with you throughout the journey to say, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. You've been doing it the traditional way. It's the same thing with our communal farming where people used to plant maize and the same land over and over again. There's no production anymore. There's no productivity. Why? It's monoculture. Monoculture using the same seeds. Now they're developing ways to help farmers. Could be through GMO seeds that are more resistant to the environment. It could be through advising farmers on what animals to use based on the environment as well. We talk about this most of the times with farmers. I'm based in an area where there's not much grazing, so I'm looking for specific breed because I love a specific breed. Can it adapt? Do I have the resources to maintain those animals? So those are like small things that they are doing. They are not just doing farming because they love it per se. They're doing it in line with the environment so that it's sustainable. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to participate. Everybody's going to contribute. Everybody's going to learn and improve. Mm-hmm. Because we say livestock farming is our livelihood, but it's a livelihood that we continue to spend money. Absolutely. If you spend money, then it's no longer a livelihood, it's a business. So you need to record what is it that you spend on. When did you vaccinate your animals? What is your income? Oftentimes, we never really get income records from our farmers, but they're spending money. So they have programs that are more focused on how do we ensure that every farmer, small scale farmer, communal farmer, how do we keep records? Because every time we talk about records, everybody think about records. It's like this big thing that they need to go download somewhere. But the logbook, you just need a logbook.
Very true. So very true. So that is very insightful. And I'm sure most of you heard about it if you do attend some events like Farmers Days and maybe the trainings of livestock and so forth. They always say that if you cannot record it, you cannot manage it. So you need information for you to be able to determine the future, because that is data. Even in research, you need data so that you can be able to determine what causes certain diseases, what are the improvements that need to be done in your livestock in terms of A or B or C. That is very key. And I'm sure most of you agree with me that the most important focus for most of the farmers is the market access, because some of you got into farming hoping that you'll be able to generate income. And then you find yourself with so many livestock, but yet you're not able to sell them. And now here is a question, Ashell. With the market, what are the market entry strategies that are working there in Brazil that one can maybe be able to adopt, or South African farmers can be able to adopt? And remember here, I'm talking about, remember in South Africa, we've got farmers who have sort of like cooperatives. Cooperatives is a situation whereby there's number of farmers who are sharing the same number of cattle and also the same land. And then they have to manage those livestock and make sure that the enterprise itself is profitable. But based on what you have learned from Brazil, and then your interaction with the people of Brazil and the farmers, and what you know from South Africa, what are the market entries that you think are more scalable, and then we can be able to adopt as South African farmers or as the industry, or we should actually encourage the farmers to adopt?
So think about it. We have a lot of emerging farmers, but most of them lack resources. So if we lack resources, how can we best approach it? Collaboration. So when we talk about collaboration, most farmers have issues with logistics. Some farmers have issues with different things, management. But if we could all come together, share our resources, pull in our resources, not just our resources, but share our knowledge, establish those cooperations, establish those groups, associations where we can share our resources. We can even approach other stakeholders for advice. That way we have a bargaining power. It's different when I have to take 2 of my animals from rural Zanini and have people away to Polokwane. But if there's like 5 of us with at least 10, 20 animals, we can split the transport cost. So what they're doing is they don't want to promote formal market or any other market to individuals. If you don't have enough resources, how about everybody pulling together? And if everybody is willing or keen to work together, sell as a group, we as government, we as the program developers, we can organize a portion of the market that we could bring to you that will be based on the quality of animals that you have or the quality of produce that you have. So now we want to go to, let's say, the formal markets with our animals that are not branded. We don't even have tags. We don't even know how old they are. We don't even know what they weigh. And yet we expect premium price. So those are some of the stuff that I feel like we are lacking. Everybody wants to do basically everybody wants premium price, but they're not willing to put in the work. Or let alone maybe don't even understand what is the requirements to get that premium price.
Absolutely. Very good point that you make. Just to remind you, audience of the farmers, remember the requirements are very important. Before you start any enterprise or any business, you need to know what does the market require. That is what Ashell was talking about there, to say if the feedlot market requires a certain, or the cattle to be raised in a certain way. Therefore, for you to be able to run your farm profitably and sustainably and able to make more money in terms of selling your livestock to the right people or to the feedlot, you have to follow the instruction in terms of what they need. Because remember, whatever that they need on the other side is informed most of the time by the research in terms of how the animals would perform if they got into feedlot at a certain age and so forth. So that is very important to note, because if you meet such small detailed information, you might not be able to make profit as others are doing, because you'll be sort of like lacking the information that would help you to make more profit. With that being said,
and to add to what you said, being in Brazil, we also got to learn that there's a lot of collaborations, a lot of small scale farmers that are working together. With us, when we say we talk about co-op, we're talking about 10, 20 people. We have co-ops of farmers that are like over 100 farmers, and they're working together. Everything is intentional. They know what they want to achieve. And now imagine if we can have this kind of co-ops in our communities, in our small scale farming setups, where everybody knows if my animal has been vaccinated, everybody's animals are. If your animals are branded, why can't mine be branded? Think about it.
so
We are also talking about traceability. We're talking about identification, but it's a collaborative effort.
absolutely.
So you actually say we have this number of animals in those communities. That's a collaborative effort. Yes, we 50% of the national herd in the hands of small-scale farmers or emerging farmers or communal farmers. But how many of those animals are actually there? How many farmers actually own those animals? So if we're gonna have so many, if we are gonna continue, how many farmers are we actually helping?
True. That is very, very profound. I'd agree with you, Asia. That is very important because remember, as farmers, we need to work together. You cannot be a farmer that doesn't have a brand marking certificate, but you've got about 100 cattle. If you have one, you still need to be able to register your brand marking certificate. Ideally, we encourage the farmers most of the time to say, before you start farming, at least register for the brand marking certificate, because then at least then you can be able to brand mark your livestock, because now before you brand them, then they don't have ownership. They can belong to anyone. But with that being said, I also just want to add on the point that Ashell just mentioned to say livestock need to be managed very well, need to be vaccinated and so on. Remember, if you're selling a car, you need to have a sales book. So you need to also have a record keeping book. I'm sure this is something that you were told about millions of times, that you need to have a record keeping system. Like just to be also traceable. So if you are selling a livestock to someone and you don't have a record keeping book or system, then that person will have to penalize you in terms of price, because remember now, he's just assuming some of the things you may have not vaccinated, and other things of other management may be compromised. So in such situations, the buyer is taking a risk. So I just felt that I need to add on that point, Ashell. Ashell, so like in South Africa, you know very well that most of the farmers, you have been to some communal setups, you've been to some villages, you know, some farmers really in South Africa, if you were to determine them, I would say more than 80% of them is old people, like it's our grandfathers or grandmoms who are there in the villages. And then the younger generations, they are in Pretoria, they are in Gauteng, they are trying to live a nice life and dress nice, look proper so that they can look appealing to their peers. So, but then now let's bring it home. The role of digital marketplace, the technology. What role does the technology play in terms of market access there in Brazil? Is there anything or that we can learn from them so that we can also be able to improve in terms of market or remote market access as well? So is there anything that we can learn from them and therefore also be able to improve as well?
There is. So look at it this way. You have a database of small-scale farmers somewhere in Hasehopo or somewhere in Northern Cape in Town or anywhere in South Africa. They probably have logistic problems. So if they say it's like a call, they produce their winners, now they are ready. If there's like more than 50 of them, they can contact the formal markets, or the formal market say, listen, this is what we have. They don't have to load those animals to somewhere 200 kilometers away. Digital, so just use their technology, inform the right people, like, listen, we have this produce, we need your help to sell them. It's that simple. But we prefer to load 2 of my animals to a market that is 200 kilometers away.
Yeah, it doesn't really
make sense. You know what I'm saying? So we prefer to sell animals on our own, whereas as a group, we have a bargaining power. We can actually reach out to everybody else. It's not just us selling those animals. We can also get an advice like, listen, we are looking for animals that are this way or are fed this way and been treated this way. And we also get to improve. Why? It's our business.
Absolutely.
Because if I want premium money, why would I want to practice inbreeding, for instance? Now, not just me as an individual, it's us. So how do we make sure that there's no disease outbreak within our community?
Sure.
We need to pull in our resources. Instead of me buying that whole bottle of vaccine alone, I can actually pay per meal per animal that I own. So if I would buy animals, you own 10, and somebody the next farmer owns 15, then we can actually put in the little amount that we have. We have this almost every small scale farmers that we meet. They always say something very profound. We lack resources. But what are you doing with the little resources that you have? So how about we put them together and we work together, try by all means to find solutions to our problems.
True, very true. And just what you're saying now, remember if you are farmers and then you're farming, let's say you are not far from one another, particularly in this instance, the communal farms that are farming in some villages. What you're saying is very important. Remember, you are paying for the fuel, for the trailer, for the truck to deliver those cattle from wherever your farm is to the market. And then if the carrying capacity of the trailer it carries about 20 cattle. I'm just making an example for argument's sake. And then you only have two. Remember, you can still organize with some farmers so that you can put in another 18 so that you can share the responsibilities in terms of fuel, and also if you have lesser number of cattle, they can also be able to assist you to at least maybe they can compensate you in one way or the other. So that is very important.
Yeah, to add to that, look at this way. If my animals have been vaccinated and then the next farmer's animals are sick, what are the chances? We constantly have outbreaks because everybody wants to do things their own way.
True.
I don't want to vaccinate my animals. Why? Because I don't feel like it.
True.
Or maybe there is a co-op that is vaccinating their animals, but I don't want to vaccinate mine. So we talk about traceability, talk about identification. If everybody could come together, collaborate, I'm sure like in the next couple of years, we won't have a problem with FMDs outbreaks. Why? We could be able to track everybody's animals, raise every animal. We could even minimize stock theft as well. But at the moment, I mean, I still find it bizarre that we still have stray animals. They belong to someone.
True. Very true. So Ashell, as we talk about traceability, is very key and very important. It can assist us as the industry and as South Africa, South African farmers to comply with the international standards, and so that we know where actually our animals was from. Was it not from disease management area for the FMD? Or you can say the red zone area. So traceability, it will play a very critical role, and to a certain degree includes, amongst others, the stock theft. But now, Ashell, you've been to Brazil, and Brazil, surely they've got some policies that may be different from ours in South Africa. I'm talking about agriculture policy, or livestock agriculture policy in general. Is there anything that one can say that we can learn from Brazil in terms of their policies? Remember, policies they play a very important role in terms of where we go about or how we progress as the country, particularly looking at farmers, because they are the ones who are always going to be restricted to do one or two or three things because there's a red tape. You cannot do this or you cannot do that. So the policies in Brazil, how are they structured? Is there anything that we can learn from Brazil? Or what interests you most about the policies in Brazil?
Database. They record every farmers that they have. As a start, if we're going to include or incorporate our farmers in our policies, but yet we don't know how many farmers we have, especially on the communal level or the emerging farming setups. But yet we want to speak for them, speak on their behalf. Yet we don't know where they are in terms of production, their skill of production, where they are in terms of challenges, where they are in terms of market access. It's almost like I get to hear this a lot, like creating a dependence. Farmers always know, like, next year I'm gonna get this, next year I'm gonna get this. But now if you have a database, you can actually say part of the requirements or part of our policy is that you need to move from point A to point B.
True.
But if you don't know those farmers, I mean, we have amazing programs,
True.
but I feel like we don't follow through enough. We don't monitor them. So if this year we are like 20 million to help small scale farmers, what did we achieve? That's something that we need to be asking ourselves. Because anything else, technical advice is there. Yes, there are some farmers that are lacking technical advice, but I mean, as an industry, even us as an industry, we're doing a lot to research those farmers, be on a village, be on a farm. But we need more. We need to actually say, today we have this number of farmers. But now, today, we have trainings. And sometimes we are not even 100% sure that those people are actually farmers. Or are they as like actual farmers, or they just love the idea that they will get a certificate? Think about it.
Sure.
So some of the policies, they should be in line with our outcome. What is our outcome? We want farmers to access markets. We want farmers to farm better. We want to control disease outbreaks so that we can be compliant internationally, export markets. And that also creates a local markets for some of those farmers. But now if everybody's compliant, we have a disease-free head in South Africa. There will be more export marketing. That means there is a gap locally. Where are we gonna get the right products from that small gap, or that gap we fill locally? You go to those farmers, why? They are part of the database. We can trace their animals. We can identify them.
True.
So every day we talk about disease outbreaks, we talk about FMD, but the communities are never really accounted for. Most of these diseases, they come from us. I'm saying us not as RMIS technical advice. I'm saying us as a communal farmer. It's going to be rainy season soon. You're going to start seeing a lot of lumpy skin disease. And people are okay with that. And yet, that's our livelihood.
True. As you speak about foot and mouth disease, I had interaction with some of the farmers in Limpopo. They use some traditional method of, I don't know if it's traditional or it's just a method that is working. They use detail and with no withdrawal period. I don't know who taught them that. But then Ashell, you spoke more about working together, stakeholders and the farmers also being able to implement. I think implementation is very important, especially in terms of trainings, because it's one thing to teach farmers to manage their livestock enterprises, to do this and that. But then it's another if the farmers are not implementing those measures or the information that they were supposed to implement in their farms. So, but now talking about the countries, let's say the globe or the countries, let's talk about the countries between South Africa and Brazil, because we are from Brazil. What are some of the policy barriers, government's policy barriers that you say that it may stop other countries from adopting the policies that are working very well in other countries to their country of origin? What might stop other people or maybe may delay other countries from adopting very excellent policies that you've seen in Brazil to their own countries so that they can thrive, or their industries can thrive and be able to sell and do better in terms of livestock management and in terms of export market as a whole?
So I think especially in South Africa, for instance, drought relief. So we are more focused on fixing the problems that are actually occurring now. But where does those problems actually start? It's the same thing we experience with our farmers. They struggle with markets, but as a farmer, marketing is the most important thing. It's like the first thing that you need to think about: where am I going to sell my animals? That market, what are the specs? So it's the same thing with us. We have different programs, but the programs are more focused on just helping the farmers with the hope that they will actually develop or do the right thing. How about we start at the beginning? Identify those farmers. Yes, there's going to be others that don't actually qualify to be part of that project. But we have different projects from communal setups all the way to commercial farms. So we need to sort of look at it that way. If we have this amount of money, yeah, it's good that we're going to help our farmers, but how do we measure that? How do we know if we're actually on the right track or not? Do we get to sit back and reevaluate, like, okay, maybe we should have actually took the other routes? We don't, because every time it's always input focus.
True.
So I feel like that's where, because we have all the resources, I believe. Based on from what I've seen from as young as I was, there is a lot of programs, there's a lot of support, but we can measure the success of those programs. And it's sort of like frustrating because I feel like 2025, we can't be talking about record keeping. We can't be talking about branding. We can't be talking about brand mark certificates. We can't be talking about the basic things that the farmers should be doing. But yet it's an ongoing thing. Every single year we're doing the same thing. So how about now, let's say we're gonna start a register that will actually incorporate different stakeholders, private, government, community leader, the tribal council, to say we have this number of animals within this community or within this farming setup. And here are the owners. How many are they? Who actually owns them? That's a start. Because even then, when there's like a budget allocation for specific projects, then we know how many farmers we're gonna have with what. What is the end goal? We're gonna take them from here to here. Then it's gonna be the same thing with the next batch. And we are getting somewhere. Because now we are doing the same thing. We provide inputs every year. And the disease outbreaks are getting worse and worse every year. Yes. And the stock theft as well is getting worse each and every year. And yet we're talking about brand marking, identification, traceability each and every year. And it's getting worse.
True. Very true, Ashell.
We need to implement.
Absolutely. So now, you spoke a lot about measurables in terms of how to measure the success of those farmers that are getting funding from stakeholders in the industry, from government itself, and so forth. I need you to listen very well, audience now, because I want you to be specific in terms of those measurables. What are those things that you think it can help us to measure the success, particularly for those farmers that are getting funding from the stakeholders? It could be any stakeholders in the country that is trying to fund farmers so that they can be able to move from being emerging farmers to commercial farmers. There are some farmers that I speak to in the country that they've been emerging for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Even now, they're still emerging farmers merely because they don't have information. Some of them, they got funding, but they still want another funding. After getting that funding, they want another funding.
Sure.
There is another funding. And there's still also those farmers who never got any funding at all. So, and there's many of those ones who never got funding at all. So, but then let's just unpack it. How to measure the success according to the Brazilians? How are they measuring the success from their side? How do they measure the success of those farmers that they are funding? Is that something that we can implement? Just name a few of them, a few of those things that need to be looked at so that we can be able to know, based on these measurables, the farmer made progress or didn't make any progress at all.
So let's talk about you. You are an emerging farmer. You lack resources, infrastructure maybe. You don't have quality animals, genetics. You have an issue with waters, fencing and stuff. So with our database, we start there. What do you lack? What are your challenges? Where are you in terms of production? How's your calving rate? How's your disease management? Vaccination program, do you have those things in place? We start there. We're not just saying we're gonna give you this amount of money with the hope that you're gonna get to this point. We're gonna give this money based on what you lack. So how are we gonna measure it? You didn't have fence, now you have fence. Now you can worry about inbreeding. You didn't have water, now you have more water. You didn't have good genetics. Now we got you quality bulls and quality females. All of those things at the current moment, it's management and expenses. When we need income, where do you sell? Do you keep records? If you are selling, you're making an income, good. What are you still lacking with? How's your management? How's your disease management? What are those challenges that you're lacking with? We should be able to look at those things like, okay, this farmer, we moved to this farmer from this point to this point. Now, he's okay. He doesn't actually need more funding. Why? He understands the whole value chain and needs to do this. Because other farming, we basically do the same thing over and over again. Yes, there will be like some new things here and there, but most of the stuff we actually repeat them. Can you repeat those things without unless Magua coming to your farm? Doesn't start. How much did you generate this year from the support that we gave you? How much did you generate before we came on board to assist you? And for that, we need to have detailed records. But some of the farmers that we work with today, they have 48 months. Tomorrow, they have 25. What happened to the 15? Do we get to see the records of where they sold those 8 months? We don't. Are they lost? No, but they've been sold. So we can't keep, what I'm saying is like, we can't keep solving the same challenges over and over again. So if it's record keeping, then we need to have a detailed recording system for that farmer and we move on. Then you should be able to use it on a regular basis. Where is Lekki? That's where Ernest Makua comes in as a technical advisor. That's where Komoto comes in. That's where all the technical advisors across the country comes in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very important. I'm just going to ask Ashell the last question, and then I'm going to allow your audience to interact with him and ask him a few questions. Let's see, we already almost at 1 hour mark. We're going to try to keep this podcast as short as possible. Well, one last question from me, Ashell. Ashell is our import, so we went to Brazil to go and get information that could be critical in terms of improving in our industry, but also assisting the farmers on the ground to improve as well. Also to assist himself, because he's a farmer himself, he can improve based on that as well. But question is, Ashell, how important is partnership and collaboration there in Brazil? And what are key elements that we as South African farmers or the South African farmers can learn, or the industry can learn, that has a potential of improving how we go about our businesses in South Africa?
I mean, collaboration is important. Partnership, especially both the private and the public sector. Public sector is actually broad because now we are talking about communities, we are talking about the community leaders, the tribal council. We need to have an end goal. What is it that we wish to achieve? At the current moment, we have different stakeholders pulling in different directions. We can't have that. If we want to say we want to improve our export, we want to improve our productivity, we want to improve our emerging sector, everybody needs to come on board. If it's challenges that we have, we need to address them before we actually partake on this partnership, because that's very important. So I feel like that's where we are lacking. Yes, we also do have like research, but most of the research, communal farmers or emerging farmers, they struggle to disseminate that, understand that.
Sure.
That's where you can also come in. With those research, have people that are on the ground, sharing that information with farmers so that they can understand as well. We need to be intentional about our collaboration. We need to be intentional about our partnerships. But at the current moment, I mean, there is a lack because there's still a division where you find that there are some farmers that actually understand what we are doing, and there's still farmers that are still clueless. Yet we talk about each and every day implementation. So we can actually be doing multiple projects that are still focusing on the same thing. So we need to be intentional about what we actually do with our farmers. If we're going to focus on record keeping, we can't just focus on that, hoping that the farmers can actually keep records. They need to actually implement that and keep records.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we spoke for a little bit longer with Ashell, just answering questions based on my interest. But now I'm going to open the platform up for you as audience and farmers and industry participants and future farmers, students, anyone else who's attending this webinar today to be able to ask a question. If you have a question, you can raise your hand so that we can notice you. And secondly, what you can do also is to unmute yourself once you are noted. I'm going to note you as soon as you raise your hand. But also one other information that I want to share is that in the chats, there's a link, there's two links. The other one for Agri Voice, RedMeet Voice is about the research that the red meat industry is doing at the moment, just to see to it what is working and what is not working at this point in time. As farmers, we need your view in terms of what is working and what is not working on the ground. Number two, there's also another link about the traceability. Ashell spoke more about traceability, which is something that the red meat industry services is now busy pushing to say that the farmers on the ground, if you are from a communal farm, you need to register yourself. We call it production unit number. You need to have that at this point in time, because in future, some buyers, by some buyers, I mean that people who are buying cattle from you, the auctioneers, it could be feedlotters and so forth. You may be required to provide your production unit number. It's just an address in terms of where you come from. If you have got your own private land, you can do that. If you are all from the same community or the same village, you share the same reference number, because all of you are farming in the same, or all of your cattle are grazing in the same sort of like land. So that is that. So please click on the link and then you get more information. If you are confused, at the end of this discussion, we'll leave our cell phone numbers if possible, so that you can just WhatsApp us and then we'll be able to assist you. So now I see there's a hand up. Do this so that we can be able to see all of you. I'm gonna downsize the screen. I see Letavo Maputoma, your hand is up. Could you please unmute your mic and then ask your question orally? Letavo Maputoma, the platform is yours. Letavo Maputoma, you have the platform. Are you managing? Please indicate to us in the chats if you are unable to unmute yourself. Letavo, I opened your mic. Just try to open it from your side.
Yeah,
Letavo,
thank you. Yeah, now I think am I audible?
You are quite audible.
Yeah, let me start by thanking you guys. I actually have a comment, not a question. It's also another thing that I'm sort of a technical advisor. The other thing that I've noticed that our farmers need is financial literacy. Most farmers are not, you know, they are selling, but they're not able to see whether they are making profit or what. If we solve that issue, I think we will also be doing ourselves a favor, because there are a lot of farmers who are selling, but when you go back to the cost of medications, the feed, the supplements that they were buying, and then when they sell the animal, you find out they've spent more than what they are getting. That's why we get those complaints where they're saying auctions are rigging them. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for this informative webinar. Thank you, guys.
Thanks to you, Letamo.
Thank you.
Very good input there. And then we have another person, TJ Kasi. I unmuted your mic. Please unmute yourself also and answer, ask the question or make a comment. The platform is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
You are
Yes, you
audible.
are.
Okay. Yes, I want to follow on Letabo's point of thanking you guys for the session and many other sessions that we've held with RMIS. We are newcomers. Our parents were subsistence farmers in the homes where you could count the cattle. Now we are trying to take it to the next step on our own. So we don't have as much knowledge as you guys have because you've done it academically. But we want to thank you. Don't stop. I could hear Mr. Ashell is running out of patience. So my comment, especially for Mr. Ashell, we need you, Mr. Ashell. You are sitting in the right place. We are children at this stage. You are the elder to assist us. We have departments in our provinces. We have ARC. We are yet to see a database that actually is interactive where we can put in all this information and you people, smart people like you, can actually summarize it, make statistics and see where we are and help us exactly as you say. If it's centralized, the problem with South Africa is nothing is central. Northwest is doing its thing. Gauteng is doing its thing. No one is bringing things to the center. So please, that's my point. I don't want to hog the show. Lastly, please share the presentation. And then I did note that you are going to share your contacts. Then we can send these comments and questions afterwards also with WhatsApp so that we can interact with you to get to somewhere where your next presentation, you are showing us what has been built in terms of a database that can be national. Because in this session now, I think all 9 provinces are represented. So imagine if we all put in data and tell our friends who are not here to do the same. You can actually have 1 million newcomers telling you their story, vaccination knowledge, all this stuff that you want. We can give it to you. We just don't know where to give it because no one wants it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, TJ.
Very valid point.
Very good point. I'm happy that we have such comments from you, TJ and Letabo. And now I note you, Mbonalo. Your hand has been up for too long, but we had Boyo Ngabinde, who his hand was up before. I think before the first 2 speakers. But Boyo, I unmuted you, and can you please take the platform? Then thereafter, Mbonalo will follow.
Oh, yes. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm loud.
We can.
Yeah, we
yes.
can.
Okay, yeah. So generally, it's an informative session that you guys gave us, and we really appreciate that. So my interest is with the market access part rather. So I've currently got an order, right? I've got 27 tons of frozen chicken that has to be exported. There's no database actually for farmers emerging. I prefer to work with emerging farmers because the established farmers already have the market. So I was wondering what your guys is, what can I call it? Maybe your guys' approach. Do you guys have a database or are you planning on having a database for chicken and red meat? Because the container has to carry both shipments. You understand what I'm saying? So do you guys perhaps have a database for emerging farmers that we can, in a way, supplement that order as emerging farmers rather than having to go to the big corporate heads? I don't know if my question is successful.
Thank you, Buyo. Your question was straight to the point. I'm going to try to answer that one. The people who are, or the industry, have got people who are actually dealing with that specific inquiry, which are the Red Meat Abattoirs Association. So what I would ask you to do is to contact us separately so that we can be able to send your query to the relevant people who will be able to assist you specifically with the inquiry that you are looking for, because some of the information we may not have, myself and Ashell at this point in time, but it's a very valid point, and also it will be important to link you up with the people who will rightfully assist you in terms of that query.
Okay, that does make sense.
Yes, but please don't move, don't go anywhere. We'll give you our WhatsApp number so that you can connect with us by the end of this meeting, and then we can also link you up with the right people.
Okay, I look forward to that. Thanks.
Thanks. And
the good thing about that, he is looking to procure produce from traceable farmers.
Yes.
Traceability is very important.
True. And then we have Mr. Mbonalo. Can you take the platform, Mr. Mbonalo from GDARD? Mr. Sipungu Mbonalo. I just say it's Mr. because I hope I know him.
You know him, Stephen. Stephen.
Good evening, colleagues. Yes, we do know each other. We've interacted many times. We are in the same space. So, colleagues, thanks for the well presentation on everything that talks livestock and everything that you presented, Ashell, in terms of your visit to the Brazil and the lessons that you have learned from there. But for me, when you talked of funding, I thought there is funding that is available from either government through the CASP and other programs, and also from private sector. However, we have this thing of that the farmers, sometimes they are not honest in terms of how many funders they have in one project. But I just want you to maybe highlight the issue of double dipping when it comes to funding, which can unlock if one farmer is funded by once, not by many funders, that there can be a door unlocked for other farmers who can get farming. But the core issue there is the issue of double dipping in terms of funding. Then the other issue that is just a bit of it. It's you talk about collaboration, the importance of collaboration for us to improve or assist the farmers in terms of improving their productivity. I would say that from your presentation and the things that you learned, it will be important that you collaborate with us as GDART in terms of carrying out this message to livestock farmers in that. And it will be a good thing that we extend the invite to you and RMIS, like we always do, to come and assist us in terms of advising the farmers in all those things, areas that you have indicated when you were presenting. So I think we will talk and we'll arrange in terms of when can you come and assist us in assisting our farmers to learn more about whatever that we have learned and what you do as an RMIS. So for me, it was that, and well done, guys, with the work that you do on a daily basis. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you very much, Mbonalo. Any comment from you, Ashell?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned duplication, farmers benefiting from different programs. But if we have traceability, the idea is that a farmer must benefit once. The idea is that we must improve the farm. If we can improve or develop the farm halfway through, if we feel like that farmer should actually get more funding to get to a right place where they're actually sustainable, they are profitable, they are independent as well, why not? But our challenge in the current moment, we can actually record that, we can actually trace that, we can actually say we managed to help Mr. Makua from being an emerging farmer to commercial farmer. So we need those kind of information where we can say we got somewhere So you're actually right. Traceability means transparency. But if we don't have traceability in place, then we're gonna still continue struggling with issues of transparency where people are not being honest. So yeah, but you made valid points, and thank you so much, Mr. Stephen.
Thank you. We have got a lot of questions in the inbox. I'm going to just try to go through a few of them, and we are running out of time. So what I will do, I'll just randomly select questions. Don't be upset with me if I didn't select your question, but it's because we are running out of time. We don't want to extend this webinar far too long, so that people who will be watching it from our YouTube channel, it can be easy for them to watch it and finish it. So with my random selection, I'm going to start with Refile Estamahlangu. Good evening. I have worked with farmers, and what I have learned about most South African farmers are not farming for profit but for status. That is something that Ashell also mentioned, that it's very important that understand that when you're farming for profit. You need to make money. It's an enterprise. And another question is from Samaria Nkonyani from Pumalanga. She asked, hi, I'd like to know what am I doing wrong as I do brand marking, but it seems to disappear each and every year. Comment there, Ashell?
Obviously, with proper brand marking, it's not going to be visible forever. Over some time, it's going to fade away, and then you need to rebrand your animals. But more importantly, you need to make sure that you're using the correct branding ions, and they're also at the right heat. Because if not, then you're going to damage the skin of your animals. So as your animals start to heal, then the entire brand mark literally fades away. So those are small basic stuff that you need to follow when you're branding your animals, and ensure that you also brand at the right place, because you don't want to damage your meat. When you sell to the abattoir, and then there's gonna be a lot of trimming, and you're gonna bear the losses as well. So we also do offer training on brand marking through our mobile processing unit, which is very important. We are not just branding for the farmers. We're actually showing them how to brand properly and effectively on a regular basis. The idea is that we must be able to say, these are your animals. How do we know that those animals are yours? So it's very important that you need to get proper, like ideally get quality brand mark ions. Our advice is that don't use those three letters in one ion, because some of the animals are different in terms of their structure. Some animals can actually hold on to that, so you end up branding hard on those animals. So get a single letters.
True. Like you're saying, it's very important to do brand marking correctly. Don't overbrand or underbrand. If you overbrand it, you will see the color will be reddish, and then if you overbrand, you'll see some sort of like bloodish and from the letters. And then if you brand it correctly, you will see chocolate colorish. And then if you underbrand it, meaning you didn't brand, your ions were not that hot, you'll see black color. You know that it will dissipate within a short space of time. But another question quickly from Justice Sarah. I've realized that as indicated, record keeping is a major challenge to emerging farmers. Ashell, can you perhaps suggest a template for emerging farmers which could be improved as when the farmers grows?
Ideally, we literally keep the same records as some of these commercial farms. However, they're more disciplined. They're doing it on a regular basis. You need to record how many animals you have, head composition, similar to just counting your animals. How many bulls do you have? What's your ratio? How many females? What is their tax? When were they born? How many teeth do they have? Those are some of the stuff that you can do on a regular basis. Just get a logbook, a date. If you vaccinate your animals, you must write. You use these products on which animal, tag number, how many meals did you use? Then you could also get to know the withdrawal period. Then you won't end up selling your animals to people for slaughter, and then they end up being sick. So it's just basic things that you need to record. When your animals give birth, record. Was it a male or female? What is the tag number of that new cow? Who's the mother? Who's the father? So with record keeping, we do have different templates that we can share with you guys. So we just need, we will just share our contacts, and then we will take it from there. But that's a very valid question. Record keeping. We always think about record keeping as this complex thing. But it's actually basic things. How many animals came home today? How many bulls do you have? What is the intercalving period of your animals? We don't know, but things we just don't record them. So every time we ask you, you get farmers that wanna sort of like, it's almost like guessing. How old is your animals? I think my animal was born in 2019.
True.
That's not reassuring.
Yes. Now we are pressed for time. Some other questions we will have to ask us directly. I'll ask Ashell to give you his contacts. If you have questions in his trip to Brazil, please contact him directly through WhatsApp. But Ashell is married, so he stays with his wife. So just try to be cautious and professional in terms of how you approach it. You can call him during the day when you know that he's at work, because otherwise, if you maybe you call him accidentally at night when he's with his family, he might lose his partner because now of the suspicions. So, but then before we close, I'm just going to take last question from Engenas, or is Ignatius Mabusela. Ignatius Mabusela asks, does the Brazil have government agencies that purchase produce from farmers like Botswana has the BMC?
They do. They basically have like programs. So what they do first, they register all the farmers in the database. They know which farmers, where are they producing, what is their income, and so forth. Then they provide those farmers with support. It could be credit, could be seeds, could be anything, inputs. And then they also make sure that they buy 30% of those produce directly from those farmers that they support. It's almost like, I'm going to give you money to continue farming, but you need to produce quality stuff so that I can buy from you and we use it for they buy 30% of their produce from the emerging farmers or small scale farmers, which they use for the public. They use to provide for hospital, public schools. So they get their produce directly from those small scale farmers. But imagine with 30%, what can we do if we are emerging farmers in a community and we have a program that is able to buy 30% of our winners? Think about that, Malcolm. With 40% of our national head, and we have a program that says we want to make sure that we bring markets to buy the very least 30% at a market price or a fair price based on your quality. So they have those kind of agencies that are actually beneficial to the farmers. So it's not just me getting the inputs and then I'll see whatever I do with my produce. That in other ways, it minimizes post-harvest losses. It minimizes people holding onto their animals longer.
Absolutely.
And practicing inbreeding and so forth. So now there is a market. I know whatever I'm doing, there is an end goal. And you can me being able to sell to the formal market or whichever market, doesn't matter if it's I'm able to sell 30%. That's progress.
Absolutely.
Now you manage to complete the whole value chain. So you can build up from there.
Thank you very much. Now I think we came to the end of our session for this month's seminar with our own expert, Mr. Ashell Maenetja. Ka Sepedi sa gešo re re phala ya hloka phalana ka ge phala e tšea mahlale phalaneng. So rena badiši mollo re la gabo re šia magala. So by so saying, I'm saying to you that we came to the end of our session, and we were so lucky to have someone like Ashell to go and represent us in Brazil and come back with the information that he came back with now. Bagolo-golo ba re kgomo ga e gamwe ka lepara, ba e gama ka lepara o e thogela go pompeng. So thank you very much. In Brazil, one Brazilian way you can say good, or you can say how are you, or I appreciate you, without any, just a sentence of one word in Brazil.
I've learned something which is very good, especially like me saying thank you to our farmers and just that Brazilian way. I actually got to learn a lot from sugarcane production and how they manufacture their own brands like alcohol, and there's also bioenergy, biofuel. There's so many stuff that I've learned. Triple cropping, double cropping, or maize farmers where they produce like different crops on the same field, similar to what we are used to as intercropping, except that they follow each other. They only have one crop and then the second crop, third crop on the same land, zero tillage. So actually got to learn a lot, get to learn their culture. But to you farmers, I'd like to say obrigado. Thank you so much for your perseverance. I know we can do this. I know we can have that traceability system up and running. I know we're going to collaborate from here onwards. There's going to be many makuas out there running around helping farmers, but you need to also help yourself. You need to share your challenges. You also need to participate, engage as well.
True.
As Dr. Papa Malala always say, we always farm better together.
Farm better together.
Always.
Absolutely. We promised you that we're going to give you our contacts. I'm going to start with myself. Mine is 079 256 4055. Ashell?
Mine is 071 780 6836.
Again, mine is 079 256 4055. We can only take WhatsApps. We don't take calls, particularly at night, because we might find ourselves in trouble. So, but for the sake of also maintaining peace, let's just speak to one another during the day. And if you have got something urgent, you are more than welcome to WhatsApp us. But if it's late like now, you might get a response the following day. So we really appreciate you. Not myself, the only way that I can speak, the only Brazilian word that I can speak is Ronaldo. That is the only way. That is the only way that I can speak. And I see your hand is up in the rush hour, Mr. Alvuyo. We're just going to allow you just in less than 5 seconds to unmute yourself and say whatever you want to say, and then so that we close our session.
I was just that please share the numbers in your email here as a text, if that's possible.
79256405.
Yeah,
Please.
just as my text. Yeah, thank you.
Next, okay. I already shared mine. I'll allow Ashell to do the same. There we go. And then if you want to watch this session again and you want to recommend the session to other farmers, it will be posted on our website or on our YouTube channel. It's called Red Meat Industry Services. That is the name of our channel. The recording will be posted there. So please, if you want to revisit the recording, you can do so tomorrow. It will already be on the YouTube channel. In our my language, we say "Goya mashimong asohlwa o rwele moroma." Goya mashimong asohlwa o rwele moroma, meaning we are now done with our presentation. We appreciate your presence, and then we hope to see you again next month when we do another webinar. Thank you very much. Siyabonga, roleboa, yeah, thank you very much.
And before we leave you guys, please visit RMIS website, register under traceability, and please take the survey before the 30th of September. We would truly appreciate your assistance and your knowledge as well, your participation, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Red Meat Industry, empowering farmers to thrive. Thank you. Bye-bye.